Aloha, everybody, and welcome to Challenge Accepted. I'm Thomas, and I'm here with Frank.
Hey everybody.
And today we're discussing the penultimate episode to The Boys, episode 7.
Yeah, I can't believe we only have one left. That is insane. Such a good
If,
show.
I mean, no pun intended, it flew by.
Yeah.
Like, this one was, this season has gone by so fast. It's been so good. This episode was intense as well.
It was. And we finally have some character moves that we've been waiting for a while now. We see that Homelander is just collapsing. And on the other side of that, of course, so is Billy Butcher. It's really getting good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and do the rundown and then we'll go ahead and get into it. You gonna do my timer for me?
Doing the timer.
All right, here we go. Episode 7 of The Boys. Here we go. So we start off with Homelander and Saga Homelander and Firecracker meeting with Sage, who's fallen out of favor, of course, with Homelander after her recent failure. Meanwhile, A-Train is eavesdropping on the meeting and begins to gather evidence against Sage. He later on gives that to the boys. The Deep's infidelity against his octopus is starting to really get bad, leading to some complications. At some point, he eventually chooses Sage over the octopus. And I mean, he kills her. He breaks her tank and she dies, which is so. It was so sad for some weird reason.
Oh my gosh! Tilda Swinton.
I know, right? A significant revelation happens when Billy Butcher confesses to the entire group that he's been hiding the Doctor and having him work on a virus that'll kill superheroes. Problem is, it'll kill all of the superheroes, including his son Ryan. The knowledge shakes everyone. And they're all struggling with their inner demons at this point. And Butcher's still dealing with his Kessler that's following around, telling him to do bad things. Meanwhile, Mother's Milk is deciding it's time to retire. And he's going to go ahead and give Butcher the lead role again. He's having panic attacks and he has to really take care of himself. A-Train eventually talks to Mother's Milk, is one of my favorite conversations of the show. They have a heart-to-heart about like, hey, you have to fight for a great cause. And A-Train reflects back to seeing that kid and kind of him reigniting with that.
So good.
Yeah, this culminates into a fight at the Flatiron with the Deep and Black Noir fighting against Billy Butcher and Starlight, and others show up. Eventually, A-Train shows up, showing his allegiance and sticking to it. Does some great butt kicking. They knock out the other two and then escape. And then we find out that Starlight is not Starlight. The shapeshifter has taken over for Starlight and is going to be trying to get the information on Newman back away from the boys.
2, 1. Nicely done. Oh, there you go. Yep. Awesome, man. Yeah, well done. Go check out the full article at geekfreaks.com.
Yep.
But yeah, man, this episode, yeah, let's just reflect at the start. Okay, so Sister Sage is out because she got a little wonky because she got an involuntary lobotomy last episode.
Yeah.
And turned into a 3-year-old. And then Firecracker, also speaking about babies, basically gave Homelander a good nursing. And so now he's, on her side. And things have just flipped. So not the way I thought Sister Sage was going to go out, but I don't think this is the end of seeing her in the show.
Oh, absolutely not. I think she's going to be the one that has the victory over everyone at the end of this at the end of the next episode. I think she's going to have a master plan that'll come into place, because even she was saying like, yeah, of course I knew it was A-Train. I was feeding him bad information to give to the boys. So what bad information was that? What do the boys know that they are supposed to know? Right. So we'll see how that comes out in the end.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder, we probably do see her at the end of the season, but I think she plays a bigger role in season 5. And also, does she join up with the boys? I wonder, or does she have a master plan that's over Vought and over everybody? I still don't know yet.
I don't think so, because it's her part of the plan to put people into the internment camps, and even Newman didn't know about that. And so I think she's more evil than that. I think I could see Newman joining the boys before she does.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we get a nod to Newman being open to that by Hughie bringing her snacks. There's obviously a friendship there. Real life they're dating, which is weird in a way.
Yeah. I can't stop thinking about it when I see the two together.
Yeah, me too. But he brings her all those snacks, and like the way he leaves and the way she looks at him, like she very much appreciates him. Whatever it is. So Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have yeah, because we have the assassination plot. So Newman is poised to be the next president if the assassination goes well, which is weird to say, but yeah. So I think Sage is going to make sure that keeps happening, and or doesn't happen and messes up Homelander. Then Homelander will overreact, and so we're going to see her, I think, toy with the assassination plot in face of Homelander because she knows how to.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think she has to have something up her sleeve, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, as much as Homelander has kind of taken charge and everything, like he needs her, or he needs Newman, and he obviously wants to get rid of Newman. So of course, like, Sage has to come into play. We even see that Ashley, who's kind of the face of the company in some ways, still as CEO, she's over it too. She wanted to get the F out in this episode. Yeah,
and we have a little bit of redemption for her, right? Because she's basically sticking around to try to help who she can. And it's like, how am I supposed to think about it? Like, she's so confusing, not in a bad way or a good way. I'm just saying, just in being like, you were a lot. I'd hate to be her best friend and hear her complain every night about her work. Cause it's like one day she's like pro Homelander and helping beat up somebody. And the other day she's like, I've got to say who I can from this company. It's like, what's up with you?
No, I mean, also in like sex dungeons, like messing with Hughie, like, she's an interesting character to say the least. Like, she's as gray as you can get. You know, like, good,
day before she's upper decking the most powerful person in the world, his toilet. So it's like, girl, you're all over the place. Yeah, she's something else.
Right.
We'll see how that shakes out. And then, so we have Newman that's got the assassination plot. We've got Ashley on this weird warpath. What do you think about A-Train going on vacation, trying to get out of there? Because at first, him and Ashley were talking, and I think it was her that was kind of proposing the idea, like, hey, let's just go to Italy or whatever. And then by the end of the episode, he's wanting to go and she has to stay. Do you think A-Train comes back in this final episode?
Oof, yeah. That was weird. I wasn't expecting it to go that way. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to come in and save the day. So when he did, I was like, oh, what? Hell yeah. And I was like, okay, he leaves them all alive, which I think is kind of a stupid mistake on his part in a way, because now they know you're the rat and they're never going to stop hunting you. But at the same time, like, he got out of there and he brings his family, and she told him about the tracker. So it's like, I could see him kind of at least surviving for a while. But yeah, I love A-Train this season. Let's just say that. Like, I've always wanted to root for him, and it's just cool to see that we can now. We saw it last season, I think, with that police representative kind of hero that he ends up killing him after he paralyzes his brother. And so it's like, I've always kind of had this love and hate relationship with him. I mean, especially in the beginning, he kills Hughie's girlfriend.
Of course.
But I think it's cool that he survives in a sense, and he gets to at least be happy for a little bit away from them. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's how Maeve is right now, right? She's not dead; she's just hiding. So we've seen it happen before. We can see what happened with A-Train as well. So it's possible. I think the reason he left those ones alive is he's just tired of killing people. He's tired of the deaths around him. So he's just like, look, I want to save you guys, but I can't do this anymore. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he lost some heart out of that. I think a lot of that comes from when they beat up that news anchor. It was probably the last straw for him, where he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know?
Yeah. The news anchor, and in the beginning, we saw like all the people who were Homelander stans. Like, yeah, they were super fans, and yeah, they maybe loved some terrible things, but like, they didn't deserve to get brutally beaten to death. So yeah, I love this change in A-Train, and just him kind of seeing behind the curtain and realizing like, this isn't that great. I mean, he even says to Mother's Milk, the best I felt in 10 years wasn't when all these thousands of fans are screaming my name, or in the movies or the premieres or any of that. It was like saving you and then seeing that kid's face. And it was such a good moment, where it's like, that's what you want to see from a Superman. It's like, he just saves somebody. Nobody's thanking him, but he just does it because it's the right thing. We get to see that from A-Train. He comes back. I don't know if we get him in the finale.
Yeah, we could get him next season maybe, or something like that, or maybe they'll just write him off. And then I think if we're talking about Homelander stands, we got to talk about the biggest one, and that's got to be Firecracker. And she is a loose cannon. And
Bombs all over the place.
I know. The beginning of the episode was like, oh man, Homelander is now siding with this lunatic. But even he's just like, you are an idiot. Like you could see that in his face. And he's starting to regret Sage is not there anymore, I think, pretty quickly. When she brings in Web Weaver, and it was the most brutal takedown I've seen of the show so far.
Yeah.
Ripping him literally in half. That was brutal. But like his dismissiveness towards Firecracker, and Firecracker seeing like, holy shit, that took him nothing to do. I think kind of put her in check a little bit too. And she might start to experience that fear that we saw in the first season.
For sure. Like she now sees what we've seen from Homelander forever. Like in a second, the guy could laser off your face. Yeah. Or in this part, rip. This episode, I will say though, was one of the most brutal. Christina, my wife, has not been. Oh my God. I was not watching this. She hasn't watched The Boys in a long time. She didn't watch Gen V with me. And she caught some of the moments and she was like, what the F is going? This show is disgusting. Yeah. And I was like, exactly. That's kind of what I said. I was like, this honestly is a crazy episode. Even for me, this is a brutal one. Between him ripping Web Weaver in half and also like Web Weaver just shooting out all the spider web just constantly was a little like, all right, we get it. Just kind of like he was like diarrheaing his pants or something. I don't know. Yeah.
And even later on when Kimiko was losing her leg, like the way they were showing it was like, that's visceral. Oh, it's hard to watch. Yeah.
Oh, that was brutal. And then you mentioned it already, but the soup that basically is a chameleon that can shed skin that Hughie ends up hooking up with.
Oh man, that was disgusting watching her shapeshift. Yeah.
Yeah, ripping off everything. I mean, it's cool. And I've seen something done like that in Lovecraft Country that Jonathan Majors was in and stuff. There's a character that kind of goes through a similar transformation. But this, I think, was just as bad, not worse. It was just like gross. So this episode had so many gnarly, kind of disgusting moments in it, and even some with Kimiko getting her leg cut off. I couldn't watch it fully. I kind of had to like look away for a little bit. That was rough.
Yeah, I would say the one that had me looking away was the shape shifting. I was like, oh man, because just like the tearing away, like the arms, it was too much. Anyway, so cool though, if we're being honest.
It's a cool representation of the power, right? Because we've seen everybody like Mystique. You know, it's like, okay, Mystique's an obvious one, and we got a character like that. But there are characters, I think there's a mutant that can also do that. Husk. So Husk in the comics does the same thing. She has to like rip off her skin, and then depending on what type of element she wants to embody, whether it's lava or rocks or whatever, she can do that, but she has to physically rip off her skin. So it's like, you know, there's a direct comic tie in there too, not only to the boys, but rough stuff.
Yeah.
Rough stuff.
Firecracker looks like she's barely keeping on to her little bit of control over Homelander. I think there's going to be a point where Homelander just takes her. I think this next episode we're going to lose a few people. And then the Deep. What is up with the Deep? What do you think?
I love the Deep. He's so messed up and he's so messy and he's so this is what I love. Okay, so we just talked about A-Train and we talked about the Deep. I put them in the same category. They were both not the top of the board. They have their own unique parts in the 7. They have the looks, they have the abilities, but they both are terribly afraid of Homelander, except for one decided to rebel against and is now trying to become a hero, and one is completely giving into, I can't beat him. I will do anything he asks me to do. Yeah. And so that is the Deep. He's just fully like, I'll murder anybody you need me to. He even says it in this episode. But he secretly, I think he wants to be loved and he wants to be accepted. He wants to be popular as well. But his true love, the thing that he really is called to, is ambrosia, is the sea, is, you know, fish and that kind of stuff. So he's messy, but Chase Crawford kills it. He's just so good in this role. He's perfect. Does
a great job of portraying a guy who's trying to. It's interesting, right? Because it's like they're trying to make it to where you fall in love with him, like you're sympathetic for him, like we're doing with A-Train. But then it's like, I hate you so much. I want you to be destroyed by A-Train in that fight. And all on purpose. Like that's how it's written, is so that you're like, oh, he's on a redemptive arc too, but like in the wrong direction or something like that. It's just not the redemption. It's like if the bad guys had a redemption arc for their version of redemption. That's how the Deep is right now. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And they're just kind of going off in these different directions. And I love it from like a narrative perspective for the show. Like, so well done. I was like, wow, I would have never thought about them being counters in a way,
Yeah.
and it perfectly works. And I think that's what makes the fight between them and then Black Noir showing up so satisfying. Is
Yeah.
you're like, somebody punched the Deep in the face, and he is that character that always deserves that.
Hmm.
And to see A Train do it and then just fully just kick his ass is awesome. But again,
Yeah.
shout out to Chase Crawford for landing this type of role, because I don't know who else you would cast.
No, now that you see it, now you can't see anything else. And then shout out to Nathan Mitchell, who plays Black Noir, who we found out is with Sage too. Sage has been just hanging out with everybody.
Yeah.
That was
He's
so
like, wait,
shady.
she had lobotomized to be with you? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Which is so funny. Such a funny line.
Ugh.
Yeah, crazy. It's cool that the Black Noir actor got to actually have lines in this season and get to do a lot
Got to
too.
fly. Yeah.
Got to got to fly. Butcher tries to go for the machine gun, can't get it, and then we see Mother's Milk and A-Train show up. Their relationship this season, how great has that been?
Oh man. Yeah. It's been a blast. Yeah. I honestly, the way the 7 is working right now is the reason I'm tuning. I'm tuning in for so many reasons, but the boys is doing the boys thing. They're fine. But the fact that the 7 is so messy right now and is fantastic. And so that when you have like super messy the boys I'm sorry, the 7, and then like him and A Train meet up, or I'm sorry, him and God damn it, Mother's Milk meet up. Like it's just kind of like, yeah, we got our messy families. Let's chat about it. Kind of like that. I love that those two have this weird bond forming. It's like they're both managing like really messy families behind them essentially.
Yeah. And like the personal struggles, like we've seen what A-Train has had to deal with being black, like Mother's
Mhm.
Milk being the one black character too has had to deal with some stuff. So, not that it's all about race, but I think race in this instance has really helped them bond in a lot of ways. And it's been
Absolutely.
cool how they relate to each other off of that, and like, and A-Train setting Mother's Milk straight, like, hey, I know you want your family. Like, I got a family too, but you can't just bail. Like, think about all the good you're going to do for them. And he's the one that actually makes Mother's Milk not throw in the towel and go
Correct.
to
Who would
Aruba,
have known?
Bahama. Ooh, I want to take you, mama. Whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it could have went a completely different way.
Yeah, it was really good. Mother's Milk's character has developed so much this season in a way I really enjoy it. Because before we had the whole like dad and competing with the stepdad, they took the stepdad off the table pretty early in this season, and so the fact that like his wife's back invested with him and stuff like that, just because he's trying to do everything he can for his family, feels like Mother's Milk has earned that, and you want him to have that vacation, but you also know like this guy's gonna fight. He's gonna die fighting the 7.
I know, and that's the saddest part. It's like I feel that way about both of them. Like
Mhm.
A-Train
Oh
can
yeah,
get taken out at any time, and Mother's Milk. Now that he's like, okay, that was his one. I think that was his last chance to escape.
yeah.
And after this, there's no going back. He's done for. Hopefully not at the end of the season. Hopefully he gets a few more episodes, next season. But I can imagine maybe they do take him out to put big stakes on season 5.
Yeah, that'd be really good. I again, I can't
Would
believe we
it
have
be
only one more
good?
episode. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it would be good because I want it to be. I want us to
Right.
enter in season 5 like shattered. Everybody's shattered. So that would be interesting to see.
Right. We
Because
need
then
the
that's when you get
Infinity
Homelander's
War.
like, fine, I'm gonna take over everything. Then I'm not gonna lean
Mm.
on anybody else. Like that's the kind of Homelander we want for the sake of the show, not in real life.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I think this is leading up towards, okay, seeing Victoria Newman's there and she's going to continue on doing her thing. I think maybe by the end of it, we see the president get taken out and then Victoria is in charge now. And that really does put Victoria Newman and the boys versus Homelander. And as Homelander is building up this army, even though Homelander's army, in a sense, like as far as superheroes goes, is kind of diminishing. Like I
Yeah.
thought Tech Knight would be there. I thought Sister Sage would be there. I thought A Train. I knew he was kind of wavering, but
Yeah.
his internal team is really falling apart.
Even Ashley and stuff like that starting to leave him. And Ashley is such a sycophant in the beginning that you would have thought she'd be there till the end. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
very true.
I mean, the Deep is super loyal, but he's super loyal to a fault. Same thing with
Mhm.
Firecracker. Like they're only going to slow you down. They're not going to help you actually. So I think at the end, it's going to just be Homelander by himself.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. We also see that Hughie and Starlight have they have a lot of great moments in this episode. There's some fallout from what happened with her and her mom. And then we see that Hughie didn't throw away her costume. And I think we get her true feelings when she's like, why did you pick that up? Like, why didn't you leave that in the dumpster? And he's like, you might change your mind.
Yeah.
And then when she puts it on at the end, it very much is showing that wasn't her because she puts it back on. They obviously bang in it and stuff. And then we see that she was basically kidnapped at that bar. Yeah, that was, man, that was wild. I was not expecting that ending.
Do you think she survives next episode?
Maybe not.
Maybe not, right?
I know. I was thinking about that too, because I was like, they can't kill her off. For some reason, I feel like they would kill Mother's Milk before they kill her.
I agree they would, but not to make everything about the woman character about the man, but Hughie never wins. I think that might be a rule in the show Bible for the show. And so to really mess Hughie up would be to kill off his girlfriend and the only thing grounding him anymore. So that seems about right. And maybe his mom dies too. Like, what the heck? Yeah.
Oh man, they could say that for season 5. Give us a little bit of a breather.
But she looks like she's in trouble. I mean, she's chained up in that with that gigantic chain, and the shapeshifter is just going to get all the Newman information, and the boys are going to have nothing against her. So yeah, that's going to be it right there.
So remind me, why did they even go into that room in the first place to find that lady chained up in there? I can't remember why they did that.
Oh God, I don't remember what the exact reason was. I think are they trying to find the the assassination? I think that's what it is. I think it's all about who's going to be doing the shooting. And then when they find out it's the shapeshifter, they're like, oh man, how are we supposed to stop an assassin that could be anybody? You know?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I don't know. I think that Starlight is going to be able to, maybe this is where she gains her powers back. Because when I was looking at it too, I was like, there's a little bit of light kind of shining in through the window, and she hasn't been able to access her powers at all this season, except for being up Firecracker that one time. So I was like, maybe this is where she regains some strength, regains some clarity. It seems like she's kind of been underwater for most of the season, and maybe this is where she really centers in and is like that superhero moment where I need to, or how about this? Come on, Spider-Man.
I was waiting for that. Yeah. It's a Spider-Man moment. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's why Spider-Man's so damn good, is sometimes he has to regain his powers. It's great. Yeah. And it could be like a Thor version of it where when she comes back, she's even stronger. So maybe she'll unlock the Odin Force. I look forward to seeing how they're gonna evolve that character. We also have Frenchie and Kimiko. Kimiko loses a leg, but we have a leg full of the virus now, and it looks like it's pretty effective. So we might see that get stabbed into Homelander. And I think the best way to throw just the boys' vibe on this thing is they stab it into Homelander and he fights off the disease. That would be perfect for how things go for the boys, you know?
Right. I think that happens. And I think from there, it basically gets put on Victoria Newman to pop his head. That's the way I'm going with it. If the little I know about the comics comes to light, sorry if that comes true and it's a spoiler, but I think that's what they're going to do for season 5.
Yeah, I mean, but the comics though, I wonder at this point how much, because I know Black Noir is a clone and all stuff like that. All that's been changed so much. I wonder if they'll. I don't think they'd want to do that. I think they know that Anthony Starr being the last person to die, stuff like that's gonna be so important for them. We'll have to see.
No, definitely. But I think that happens at the end of season 5. I think you're right.
Oh man, yeah, I see what you're saying.
I think they stabilize the virus at the end of next episode. Okay. I think start next season, they have a plan. They're going to meet Homelander somewhere after he's making a coup to take over the White House or take over the presidency. That happens. The boys get close to him, are able to stab him with it. To your point, he fights it off. And then by the end, there's no other option. Homelander is completely out of control. He's going to nuke the world. And the only person that's able to get close to him and still do something, Victoria Newman, pops his head. End of season 5.
What if, I'm going to add a little more to this, because I can't imagine Newman, who's already done some pretty bad acts, surviving this, going scot-free. I think she has to die too. So what if she gets stabbed by the virus by accident and is like, oh shit, I'm dying. My last chance, pop his head. Then she goes down. That to me seems justified, because I just can't imagine her surviving this. And then it's kind of tragic too, because she's died a hero like she's wanted to be.
Yeah, and yeah, talk about another redemption arc. I do feel like they've given Victoria Newman because she's done some heinous things. To your point,
Yes.
she's popped some heads of like some pretty decent people in the
Yeah.
show. Yeah. It turns out like her husband's also a sign. That part where Kimiko gets stabbed though was, oof, that was rough. That
That's
was
tough to
rough.
watch.
Very tough to watch. But again, talk about one of the best relationships in the show. It still continues to be Kimiko and Frenchie for me. It's so nice
Hmm.
how they come back together. She's mad at him at the beginning of the episode, which I
Yeah,
love.
that was
You
good.
know,
And then we learned Kimiko why she's mute. And it's such a cool reason. The fact that like the idea was when she was a kid, they put them against each other, and then like you could start talking once you kill her. And after she killed her, she wouldn't start talk again. And
yeah,
it was
she
almost like a
couldn't.
vow of silence level to that. Like as long as I don't stop talking, or as long as I don't start talking, it's like she's still alive in a way. Like that fight's still going.
Oh,
And
I like
so
that.
it's kind of like an all way to honor her first victim and all victims ever since that.
Huh.
Um,
I like that perspective. I just thought about it as like the psychological trauma was so heavy from that.
right.
Like just one of her abilities, normal motor functions just disappeared.
Absolutely. That could
Yeah, but
totally be the
I
case.
like that to what you're saying. Like it kind of just honors her in that fight in her mind can still like she's almost excused it a little bit in a way because the fight is still continuing. So
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool way to look at it. I like that.
that'd be cool. Who else should we talk about? I think we got pretty much everybody at that point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I just love that Kimiko and Frenchie are that good of friends. Do Obviously Frenchie was in love with Colin this season. Do you think there's still something romantic between Kimiko and Frenchie though? Like I flip flop on that all the time. Is it
I
just their
want
best
the two.
friends?
I want those crazy kids to get together, man.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too. But that's why I can't tell. But like, maybe it is they're just such good friends. They shouldn't taint that. But
yeah,
also it's like they're such a good couple too. She was so cool about like, I think we should go be with Colin and like I'm banging people too.
yeah,
But yeah, man, so good. And Frenchie, them finding redemption in that, like, we're both not great people. We both have done things that we regret, but like,
hmm,
how do we continue to go on? How do we, make ourselves useful with the time we have? And yeah, what a great way to bring Frenchie back. So after he turned himself in, I was like, oh, he's effed. Like he's never coming back.
yeah. I do like how, just as a side note, I might have mentioned that last week, is they still included him in the credits in last week's episode, even though he wasn't actually in the episode. That's
Oh,
good
really?
respect for the Frenchie actor. Yeah, that's cool.
That's all. That's such Eric Kripke right there, man. Like
Yeah,
I saw an interview that he did recently, and he was like, the most well, because somebody was maybe coming after Starlight, that actress
yeah.
again, because of BS online. But he was
Oh
like,
no,
just don't do anything to my actors. Like we are so protective of our actors and like
good. What a good
what
man.
we do with them. And I think that's well known. What's another show like House of the no like Game of Thrones. Like Game of Thrones had
Yeah,
such reverence for the actors, and they all enjoyed it. Like as heavy as some of the episodes were, and like the crazy thing the actors had to do in their roles, you could tell the showrunners, the people who were involved, like loved the people who were a part of it, and they felt
yeah.
so
They
much
were a family.
care.
Hmm.
Yeah, family, exactly. And I feel that I get that vibe from this show too, where
Yeah,
they're just so stoked, like, please let me keep doing this because I want to be here
yeah,
for the show.
yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I really like it. I watched this interview with Anthony Starr recently too. I think it was on Seth Meyers. Maybe it was on Colbert, but man, no, Seth Meyers. Uh, it is so weird to watch him talk like normal, to be a
Yeah,
nice guy. And I'm like, I'm so used to not trusting you.
I know.
You
Yeah.
guys gotta check that out.
I
It's
think
not
that's
real.
why he like grows out the beard and lets his
Helps
hair
about,
grow
yeah,
brown and everything. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. He's like, yeah, I don't blame him. I mean, he wants to let people know that that's a role that I play. That's not who I am.
Could
So,
you imagine seeing him like with the blonde hair, like during filming in Walmart,
dude,
being just be like,
scary.
that guy's gonna steal razors, something like that.
Yeah. Or I don't want to be near him
Yeah.
when anything happens. Like it's sketchy.
Oh
The
man,
only person I think we kind of didn't talk about really is like Butcher and Ryan.
that's fair.
Ryan kind
Yeah.
of also, we see that Butcher's influence on Ryan is still very much there. And Ryan sees that maybe not everything that his dad is pitching to him is as good as it sounds. There are things that are truly morally right and wrong. And even though his dad's saying, yeah, you should do this, he doesn't feel that way. So I thought that was cool. And that Butcher talking to Joe Kessler was like, see you next Tuesday. Like, see, he's still in there. That's why I didn't do that, you wanker, kind of thing.
That was
great.
Immediately after that, Butcher hits the floor.
Yeah.
And the tumor's coming for him. The tumor's still there. The tumor is alive. It's Kessler himself. So will he be able to beat this? I don't know. I wonder if Newman can like aim her explosive stuff to a tumor, like right there, you know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I've thought about that too. I don't see Butcher making it out of the show, not this season, but I see him also succumbing to something in season 5. Like I just don't see him surviving the whole thing.
I could absolutely see him sacrificing himself for the sake of Ryan. And Ryan, I think, is starting to see the Homelander is not a great dad thing. Like when he's talking on the phone, leaving that message, he's just like, you just got to do it, man. You know, kind of like Homelander's patience with Ryan just wore thin a little bit right there. And now it's good. And Homelander, I kind of agree with you, man. Ryan's got to sack up a little bit. Like, for being honest, you're Homelander's son. Act a little bit like it. But anyways, but yeah, so I think there's going to be a point where he's just like out. It might be this next episode too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not for the long term though. I'm going to throw that out there, but for the short term.
Right. Exactly. I love it. I love that there's this emotional pull between Butcher and Homelander for Ryan's spirit. You know, like they've done a great job with that. This show, it just does so many things well. The satirical play on the Muppets or Sesame Street,
that was fun.
In the beginning and end is like, God dang, like, man, we get another crazy puppet scene in The Boys.
I want that Homelander puppet so much, man. It would go great over here next to my Yoda. That'd be perfect.
That would be cool. Yeah, he looked good. It looked good. So, yeah, this show, it's too dang good.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for us today. Make sure you guys drop us comments on Threads. It's so hot. My brain's melting. Threads, Instagram, and Twitter. Let us know what you guys thought about The Boys. And next up is going to be House of the Dragons. And then after that, we're going to be releasing an episode about The Bear. Finally, Frank finally finished watching it. All right, guys, we'll see you then.
All right.
Bye.